Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector, and I am doing a showcase tonight. As you can see in front of you, 1973 Topps is who we're talking about. The Hall of Fame run is complete for me, and I am ready to show it off. I guess it was like a poll on my channel. I'd never done one before, and I did one the other day to see what showcase you guys wanted me to show. I asked Nolan Ryan, 73 Topps, Sandy Koufax, etc., and it was a tight vote, but 73 Topps Hall of Famers won out. And I just love showing these years just so you can get a really good idea of what the cards looked like and what Topps was doing at the time. 73 Topps is one of those sets that is near and dear to my heart because it was the year I was born, and so I have every Topps set from 73 to now. And the set's not the most popular of all time for sure. The photo quality leaves a little bit to be desired, as you'll see, but overall it's a very solid set. And these early 70s sets are interesting because it's kind of crossing eras. You've got the endings of, kind of towards the end of the careers of guys like Al Kaline and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays, and then you've got kind of the starting of the careers of some great Hall of Famers to be. And so we're going to just go through all of them here. I'll try to do this as quick as I can, but there's 66 Hall of Fame cards in this set, so a lot to go through. You can see card number 1 is this great all-time home run leaders card with Ruth, Aaron, and Mays. And at the time, that was where they stood in terms of career home runs. We know that would change. Mays would end up with 660. Hank Aaron would end up with 755. So it's a good little snapshot, time capsule, if you will, of where the home run all-time leaders were at the beginning of 73. So we got that card. Next up is everyone's favorite Hall of Famer, Don Sutton. The card grades that I have in this set range dramatically. The card you just saw was a 5. I have 6s, 7s, and 8s, so kind of all over the spectrum in terms of grades. This one happens to be an 8. Centering, like most Topps years, is a big deal in 73 Topps, so you'll get a lot of off-centered cards, but there is the Don Sutton. Here is Roberto Clemente's last card, and it's a near mint 7. Nice, certainly a nice grade on that. On the back, here's what the backs look like. They're kind of this black and yellow. It shows at the top Roberto got his 3,000th hit in 1972. At the bottom, you can see 3,000 hits, which is what he ended his career with. So there you go, Roberto Clemente. Lots of batting leaders, Hall of Famers in the league leader cards. There are 2 of them, Billy Williams and Rod Carew as the batting leaders from 72. Both Hall of Famers. You've got the home run leaders, Johnny Bench for the National League, and who I think should be in the Hall of Fame for sure, Dick Allen for the White Sox. Shockingly, or not so much, the runs batted in leaders, the same 2 guys, Johnny Bench and Dick Allen. Did they use the same picture? That's always so for Johnny Bench they used a different picture, but and for Dick Allen they used different pictures, so that's always neat. So there's that. You got the stolen base leaders, Hall of Famer Lou Brock and Bert Campaneris. The ERA leaders are Steve Carlton and Louis Tiant, who a lot of people think should be in the Hall of Fame. 191 ERA for Louis Tiant, 198 for Steve Carlton. Man, it was a different era back then, wasn't it? That's an 8. Then you've got, this one's an up and down, so I guess I could put it like that. This one's a 6. You can see the centering here. You've got Steve Carlton and for the National League with wins, 27 wins, and then Gaylord Perry and Wilbur Wood tied. Perry, a Hall of Famer. Strikeout leaders in the major leagues. No shock that Nolan Ryan was for the American League, and then Steve Carlton for the National League. So 2 more Hall of Famers on that. And you've got these a lot. You're going to see a lot of these. These are the manager and coaches cards. And what's cool about this is you can see the different coaches pictured. And for the Cubs, Ernie Banks was a coach. And you'll see that a lot. A lot of the coaching staffs included Hall of Famers, or the managers were Hall of Famers. Not a coach at the time, but there's Raleigh Fingers. Nice. He's getting his mustache going there. You've got Brooks Robinson in a 7. God, he's centering on these things. It's just the quality control was terrible. That's a 7. Like, that's okay. And there's a 5. Look at the centering on that Hank Aaron. Got him playing first base there. Ron Santo for the Cubs, third baseman, in an 8. Again, the pictures are just like, ugh, really, Topps? That's what you did for us? That's the best you could do? Earl Weaver is the manager of the Orioles. Speaking of Orioles, how about Louis Aparicio? Louis Aparicio's next. Jim Palmer right now. Let me get these kind of arranged here. So there's the Jim Palmer card. That's actually a nice little action shot. Now that's a 7. That's much better centered than the other ones we've seen. There's Louis Aparicio. That's his next to last card, playing with the Red Sox. Got a nice Harmon Killebrew action shot. That looks like it's in Boston. There's a couple of Hall of Fame rookie cards in 73 Topps. This is one of them. This is the Rich Gossage. Goose Gossage, as he's better known. I do kind of like the little emblems down here at the bottom, whether it shows pitcher or outfield or whatever. That is kind of nice. Here comes Frank Robinson. So it says he's with the Angels, but clearly that is a Dodgers uniform that he's wearing. So go figure. A little airbrushed out there. You got Hall of Fame manager Dick Williams right there. Pitcher Fergie Jenkins in a 7. Another great pitcher kind of towards the end of his career is Bob Gibson. And that's a 5. I do love the rookie cups in 73. The classic rookie cups. There is the Carlton Fisk. There's a Burt Blyleven and an 8. So you can kind of tell I'll call them lower tier Hall of Famers are not that expensive to get in higher grades, but the bigger cards, the Fisk, there's certain cards that are just way more expensive in 7s and 8s. So you got budget matters, man. When you're buying cards, you can't just buy great grades in every card. I wish you could. I wish I could afford just beautiful examples in every card, but you just can't. So there's an 8 in Billy Williams, and as an example, so there's an 8, and then the Nolan Ryan is a 6. So there's that. Beautiful card of Nolan Ryan, actually. I kind of dig it. Got Joe Morgan with the Reds, kind of the beginning of the Big Red Machine. And so that's a 6 ST. It's always fun to try to find the stain. Definitely got a print mark up here. Let's see on the back if it stares at us somehow. I don't see anything that just stands out to me, but according to PSA, there's a stain on that card. There's Jim Catfish Hunter in a 7. Another manager card, but it's not in the Hall of Fame because he was a Hall of Fame manager. Eddie Matthews, he was a Hall of Fame player, but he played for the Braves, and so there you go. He is a Hall of Famer, and he's pictured on a card in the top set, so that's how that works. There's the Yastrzemski. It's a 6.5. Nice sideburns, man. The 70s, early 70s. This might be one of the ugliest Reggie Jackson cards that there is. Look at him throwing there, that grimacing on his face in the ugly A's uniforms. But there is Reggie Jackson. Next up, we've got Yogi Berra, manager of the Mets. The Mets actually went to the World Series in '73, so. And then Tony Perez right there. The white borders are really, it's so easy to see when a card is well centered or not on this set because of the way the borders are. There's Tony Perez. There's Al Kaline. One of his last cards. Not his last card, but one of them. And we got Sparky Anderson there. Ted Kluszewski was his hitting coach, so that's kind of cool. He was a big slugger back in the day. There's the Steve Carlton in a 5. There is Willie Mays' last regular issue Topps card. He actually has a card in the 74 set for the World Series where he's pictured in one of the World Series cards. And we've got Lou Brock there. Getting towards the end of Lou's career. I guess he still had 4 or 5 more years left, but Rod Carew. I don't know why. I've always loved that Rod Carew card. Then another thing they did was boyhood photos of the stars. So, if you were picked as one of these guys, you just had to, first of all, how'd they get the picture of Jim Palmer with a floaty in a swimming pool when he was a kid? Did they ask Jim Palmer for the picture? I mean, this just absolutely cracks me up. Did they pull it from, did they ask his parents or something? Who knows where they got these boyhood photos. There's several of them in this set. Here's another one of Gaylord Perry. Look at Gaylord as a young man. There'll be some more of those coming up. There's the Tom Seaver, Terrific Tom, in a 6. It is interesting how you've got a lot of up and down, and then you've got even a lot of sideways shots of different players. There's Willie Stargell, Pops, and a near mint 7. A lot of these I have doubles of, which is weird. I guess I just bought too many of them. There is the Expos manager and coaching staff, and one of the coaches was Larry Doby, first African American in the American League, who doesn't get nearly enough credit for what he did. There's the base Johnny Bench. That's in a 6. Here is, these are our cards I'm looking to definitely upgrade, like this one here, the Perry in a 5. I mean, I can get a 7 for not terribly crazy expensive, but we'll see. There is the Willie McCovey. Again, it's almost like Topps wasn't even trying with the pictures, they just, God. There is the Indians coaches and manager, and you had Warren Spahn as the pitching coach down there on the bottom right. A lot of people didn't know he coached for a while. Here we got the Joe Torre went on to be a Hall of Fame manager. Another thing the 73 Topps set did that I really love is they have these all-time leaders. And like there is the all-time hit leader, at least at the time. Ty Cobb was the all-time hit leader. 4191 was one of those numbers we all memorized as kids, along with 714 and 56 and 406. And there's just a lot of numbers in baseball that are numbers you don't forget. And so Cobb's hit record was certainly one of those. Obviously, Pete Rose is the current hit leader. There we've got the Lou Gehrig, all-time Grand Slam leader, since eclipsed by Alex Rodriguez. There's Hank Aaron as the all-time total base leader. I don't know if he still is the total base leader. That's not something I know off the top of my head. Babe Ruth as the all-time RBI leader. I do know that Aaron eventually eclipsed him in RBIs, but I don't know if he's still that or if Barry Bonds overtook him. I can't remember. But these are just cool cards because just to see these old-timers being recognized in, at the time, modern sets. I love it. All-time batting leader, Ty Cobb, 367. That is still true. For sure. Nobody's hitting 367 in today's baseball. There's Walter Johnson. That's another record that'll never, ever be broken. The all-time shutout leader at 113 shutouts. That's insane. Like you could do, 10 shutouts a year for a dozen years and you'd have to beat him. I mean, that's just crazy. Guys are lucky to get 1 or 2 shutouts a year now. The big train, Walter Johnson. Next up, Cy Young. Again, another record that will never be broken. All-time victory leaders, 511. Good grief. Got another Walter Johnson. This record was broken. All-time strikeout leader. In fact, it was broken by several guys. Have now eclipsed Walter Johnson's strikeout record. Obviously, 5,714 is the strikeouts that Nolan Ryan has, which is a record that will never be broken. But at the time, it was Walter Johnson. There's the Juan Marichal card. Again, Topps. Seriously, you got the guy holding a bat that he's facing going right over his face, right over his head. I mean, come on. That's just silly. Do better. Next, we have Red Schoendienst as the manager of the Cardinals. The coaches' cards and stuff have been hard for me to get because there's just not a lot of them graded, quite frankly. There we've got the Phil Niekro in an 8. Very nice 8 there. Almost done, guys. Pirates. Coaches, Bill Mazeroski. We're getting into the semi-high and high series here. There you go with Orlando Cepeda. 9 OC. What's funny is that card on the front doesn't look nearly as off-center as some of the other ones, and they don't have the designation. But you look at the back, and it's definitely off-center. Look at that. Wow. Orlando's nickname is the Baby Bull. That's right. Next up, we have a couple of manager cards in a row. We've got Whitey Herzog for the Rangers. This is, I think, Whitey Herzog's first gig as a manager was with the Rangers. You've got 2 Hall of Famers on this one. Walt Alston and Tommy Lasorda. And you've got 2 more cards, guys. The biggest rookie card in the 1973 Topps set is this one right here. The John Hilton rookie. Just kidding. Michael Jack Schmidt, greatest third baseman of all time right there. So there's that one in a 6. I've got it both in a 6. and I've got it in a 6OC. So definitely off center on that one, but there's the base one, the regular one. Good card. Love having it. And then the last card in 73 Tops that pictures a Hall of Famer is the Houston Astros in the World Series again, starting tomorrow. Leo Durocher, manager of the Astros. And that's it. There you go, guys. That's 1973 Tops for you. Lots of great cards, lots of cool stuff. Let me know what you think down below. What'd you like? What cards do you dig? And I appreciate everybody watching. I hope everybody has a good week. And we'll talk to you soon. Keep collecting.